Hello. So I thought I would check in. I have been filming a reading vlog that I'm going to post probably soon, maybe before this, I think. But I wanted to check in here because this is my March vlog, and I just wanted to quickly say, I mentioned it already, but we are going to be moving at the end of this month, and something that I haven't super mentioned is that we have been struggling a lot to find a new place. It's been really stressful, and we've applied to so many places, but for various reasons we have not been approved. And it's honestly like really unfortunate and annoying because we've lived here for 6 years, but the place got purchased by somebody else, and that new person does not have heart as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, we're kind of screwed. It's not a great situation to be in, but I personally have been in worse situations, so I keep trying to tell myself that, and we're just gonna get through it. We are going to have kind of unstable living arrangements temporarily until we can figure this out. Our hopes are to save as much money and be able to offer it down to somebody, and because of how much it is and how much we'll be paying in advance, they will approve us. And if that goes as planned, hopefully this temporary situation will only last a couple of months, if that. But yeah, we're going to continue looking in the meantime, but applying to all of the places we have so far has basically wiped everything we have. Like, we are now behind on other things because we've been trying so hard to find a place, and it just sucks. It sucks so much. I can't tell you how much it sucks. I'm smiling because if I don't, I will cry. And I've done a fair amount of crying, honestly. And I'm just sick of it. So I'm going for radical acceptance in my life right now, and we're gonna see how that goes. I am very grateful because I do have a support network of friends, and I cannot tell you how much they've helped. Like, if any of them are watching right now, like anybody who's done anything to help, I thank you so much. Asking for help is not something that's been easy for me in my life ever, and sometimes you just kind of have to bite the bullet and do it anyway, even if it's not something you feel comfortable doing. And I am so grateful that, as uncomfortable as it is sometimes to have to ask for help, I have people there who are willing to give that help to me, because I would be in so much more of a worse off position if I didn't have that. So, like, friends have literally helped us with so much. We were able to get a storage space because of friends. I was able to get some stuff for how we're going to be living because of friends. One of my friends sent me like a gift card to a grocery store and like a gas sort of thing. Like, it's a grocery store that has a gas station. One of my friends sent me a gift card to a grocery store that has an adjoining gas station. So, like, just so many ways that people have been really helpful, and I'm so grateful. And honestly, you can kind of see, actually, one of my friends sent us a cooler so we have a way to keep our food safe and like secure. And I decorated it with stickers because I am who I am. So things are probably going to look a little different moving forward. I have plans to have videos queued up that I am making currently and like working on right now. It's currently the beginning of March as I'm filming this, so by the time this posts, it will obviously be the end of March. So hello, end of March, hello, early April. If you're seeing this, you are now in the future. Fingers crossed that a lot of terrible things do not happen between now and then. I am hanging in there as best as I can. This is probably the last vlog that will be filmed in this house. I think if any of the future ones contain footage, it's just stuff that I filmed before we move. Yeah. I've sort of debated on how much to share publicly, just because it's kind of like a weird situation, and yeah, but me being the kind of person I am, like, there are some things that I do keep private. There are some things that I keep to myself, but I think sometimes it's beneficial to other people to show your low moments and your hard, bad times, because sometimes when people only see the good things, they get the wrong idea. And it can lead to people sometimes internalizing bad feelings about even themselves, because they feel like they should have less bad times and more good times and more good stuff. So I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm taking it onto myself or making some kind of like personal mission or responsibility to alleviate that issue in the world. But I do want to share what I can when I can, as I feel comfortable, and be open about a lot of things. So Yeah. I think some people might consider a lot of the stuff that I share like TMI or like too private, but I am who I am. Again, we all have different comfort levels, and this is mine. So if you are here and you're watching this, I appreciate you joining me on this journey. I say journey loosely because obviously if I had the choice and I had a lot of money, I would not be in this situation. But things being what they are, I'm just gonna continue on doing the best I can and taking things one day at a time. Yeah. I will say that if you are planning on commenting or saying anything negative or rude to me, you could probably just save your time and go do something more productive instead, because it will not change anything in my life. And I'll probably just delete your comment if YouTube doesn't mark it as spam on its own. So I'm sure there are more constructive ways you could spend your time than hate watching my content or commenting mean things to me. Yeah, okay. This is just a quick little note. I just wanted to pop in and say this. Let's get on with the rest of the vlog. So we managed to fit this whole bookshelf in here, and Richie's gonna sit right there while I drive. And we're just gonna have to do one bookshelf at a time, which will probably take a while, but yeah. Trying to fit all of my comic boxes in here. So far, so good. So I'm reading a bunch of other books that I'm not covering for vlogs, and I figured I would do this little check-in for my monthly vlog. And I've been reading this, The Soul Grows Heavy, and it was sent to me. This is an early copy from Tor Nightfire. And I was really excited to read it. This is really short. I thought, great, like I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna read this, I'll do like a little film bit for the vlog, and great. And then I started reading it, and this is under 100 pages. And I was loving what I was reading, but then something weird started happening with my book. Some of the pages started looking like this. As you can see, entire portions of text are just missing, like at random. Some of the pages are just entirely blank. Like this is supposed to be pages like 49 and 50 or 50 and 51. They're just blank. They're not supposed to be. It cuts off mid-sentence and then picks up 2 pages later. I don't know what happened in those pages. And this is happening multiple times in the book. And again, it's only 97 pages long. So yeah, I'm having difficulty really following the story and what's going on, because it's kind of like dreamy and like weird a little bit, like fairy tale-esque. And with missing pages, it's just so hard to understand what's happening. Like, it's honestly really disappointing. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this, what I can of it, and I'm gonna probably leave a review that says I will read it again when it comes out, because I don't know what to do about this. This is an arc, so stuff does happen, so I'm not like super upset or anything. It's just a little bit disappointing because I really did want to read this. I've mentioned this before, but I didn't like the last book by this author, and so I was really excited to give them another chance and like see if I liked this one. And then this happens, so I guess we're gonna have to wait on that. Oh, before I forget also, so I do want to check in about this, because I just finished this, which was the first time reading it for me, and I thought I had read all of the Junji collection that I owned, but apparently I missed this one when I did Junji January last year. So yeah, I read this for the first time just a couple days ago, and I think this is probably one of my new favorites of all of his collections. Like, this was so good. It was very reminiscent of a lot of his other works, which I like. Like, there are certain themes that he has. I was telling my boyfriend about it because I finished this and then told him he should read it. You know how a lot of the stories will have like 2 characters walking in the forest or something, you know, like hiking? That's something here. Or like there are some characters who discover a town with like a tragic backstory or something. Like, there are just some things that happen a lot in his stories, and I don't mind that, I love it. And if you're a fan of like other stuff of his, and if you've read a lot of his things, then you'll be kind of familiarized with some of those. But if you're brand new, this is honestly a perfect starting point because it's got so many good things. Like, I don't know, there's some genuinely creepy stuff in this one too. Like, I read this when I was home alone. My boyfriend was at work and I was getting so freaked out, not even kidding. It was the middle of the day because my boyfriend works like the morning shift. I was getting so creeped out at home alone, no joke. This collection has 13 different stories in it, which is a pretty decent amount, honestly, I feel. And some of them are a little bit longer. Most of them are like independent. They aren't really related to each other, but a couple of them do tie together, following similar characters or, you know, similar plots. So they follow kind of like one big story, but most of them are just standalones. And I especially really loved the standalones. Like, those are the ones that freaked me out a lot. And there's a lot of different stuff here. Like, there are some creature-y type things. There's one called, I think, Ghosts of Primetime that has to do with like horror in media, and I thought that was cool. Like in performances specifically. Like, I think they're comedians. And then there's one about a character who has like music stuck in their head and they can't get it out of their head, and it's like, it has like some pretty bad effects. There's just a lot. There are so many in here. I don't even know if I would be able to pick one favorite from this collection. Like, that's how much I liked this. So I had to mention it somewhere. I'm not doing a dedicated vlog for this, so it's going to go here in my monthly vlog. If you like this kind of thing, like creepy, spooky graphic novel, if you like Junji Ito, if you have not read this, highly recommend it. Like, 5 stars for me. I loved it. Look, this isn't even like a spoiler or anything because the girl just like looks like this sometimes, but like, do you see? I know it's kind of hard to like focus on it, but isn't that horrifying? Like, it's so creepy. I love the art so much. So good. This is so good. Highly recommend. You should read it. I don't know if you know or if I just live like under a rock, but Daisy Jones and the Six has a show coming out, or that's already out, that came out a few days ago. And I think I knew that it was coming out as like an adaptation, but for some reason I thought it was a movie. I didn't realize it was going to be a show. And when I saw that there were 3 episodes already available on Amazon Prime, I immediately dropped what I was doing and turned it on. Actually, correction, I ran to the other room, grabbed this book, came back, sat down, and then started the episode. And I only watched the first episode because I wanted to reread the book because I didn't remember it as well as I would have liked to going into the show. And so far I've still only watched the first episode, but I did finish the book. The first time I read this was actually as an audiobook. So this is my first time reading it physically, and I was able to like tab it up and stuff. So that was really fun. And I don't know if it was because of the difference in format, but I do think I enjoyed it a little bit less this time. I still really, really liked it. I think I would give it like a 4.75, but the last time I gave it like an absolute 5, and I remember it made me like sob. And I did still cry. I will be honest, I cried. But I don't know. I feel like maybe it was like hard. It was more hard-hitting before. I don't know. And that actually makes me very curious because I want to reread Evelyn Hugo. And it's been a while. I think I actually read that one right around when I read this one, and I also listened to that one. So I'm very curious to see if I reread that one in the physical format, will I like it more, or will I like it the same amount, or will I like it less? So maybe we'll find that out soon. Otherwise, I do not have much going on today. I have a few more boxes to pack, and then we're going to be taking them to the storage place. So that should take a couple of hours. I think we have a couple of errands to run, but I'm also feeling a little bit crampy, and I think today may be a day that I need to stay home and just kind of hang out and relax. So I might do that. Yeah. But I did want to check in. I have been reading a lot, but it's for other vlogs, so I don't have too much to say about the other books I've been reading. It's been some good stuff. I'm excited to share it all with you when I share those vlogs. I'm also going to be editing a couple of videos, I think tonight, or at least one. It depends on how long that takes. Maybe 2. I also have a little bit of drawing I want to do. I'm working on an oracle deck. It is very exciting for me, and it's something to do with pop culture, so I will be sharing more of that as I work on it. But for now, just a little mention that that's something that you might see a couple of little clips of here and there, but they're going to be little sneak peeks for now, and then I'll have a full reveal and I'll tell you more about it later. I will say, if you're more interested in that and you like things like tarot and oracle decks and stuff like that, definitely check out my Patreon because I will be sharing stuff like that first, and I will be sharing all of the sketches and things there. So if you want to see what I'm doing and what I'm working on, especially in like an artistic way, a little bit earlier and a lot more in depth than I share it here, definitely head over to my Patreon and I will put the link down below. And you can also probably follow me on Instagram because I do share a lot to my stories there, and I'll also put the link for that below. So yeah, I don't really have anything else very exciting going on other than just reading and packing. I do have some errands that I need to run. I have to go to a couple of stores for some stuff for my shop to send out orders, and then I'm also just going to be packing a lot. So I'm probably going to stick a bunch of footage in here of boxes in my storage and the car being packed. That's my whole life these days, so yeah, this whole month has been just nothing but moving. And that does bring me to my next point, which I wasn't sure if I was going to mention on YouTube, but I've mentioned it everywhere else, so it would be kind of difficult to hide later. But so currently, the house that I'm in right now, I've lived here for 6 years, over 6 years actually. I moved here from Florida and I live in California, so it's been great. The house has had issues. Our first landlords were very nice, and they had some personal issues, so they ended up selling the house, and the people who bought it from them, we've just had so many issues. Like, they won't fix anything, they won't do anything. And then last year, like right around Thanksgiving, I think it was, or shortly before Thanksgiving, we got an email from our landlord, the new one, saying, hey, like, we are gonna have a new property management people come by, and they're just gonna do like a little inspection, totally normal. They wanna make sure everything's like on the up and up and that you're good and that you don't need anything. And they're also gonna talk to you about like getting the actual lease that we've been telling you you're gonna get. So we were like, okay, cool, great, fantastic. And not to also, I haven't mentioned, but in the time before this that they've purchased this house from us, they've raised our rent twice. So it's getting pretty pricey to be here, and they're not fixing or repairing or doing anything for the house or for us. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna send somebody in. So we're thinking, okay, if they've raised our rent multiple times, we're paying a lot more now, they haven't fixed anything, so surely they're sending somebody to see what needs to be fixed so that they can take care of it. So somebody shows up and they do an inspection, and they're so nice to our faces, and they tell us they're going to be giving us a lease, and they ask, why wasn't this stuff repaired before? And we say, you know, like, we've been asking for it, but the landlords keep telling us that they're gonna have to charge us more. And he tells us, oh no, like, the landlord really likes you guys, and you're gonna get a good lease, and we're gonna fix all this stuff, and we're even gonna like come in and like repair the stuff that's been messed up since before you moved in, and all these other things. And then 2 weeks after that inspection and him telling us that to our faces, we got a notice that they were raising our rent again, one. They were adding utilities to our lease, our month-to-month lease, utilities that they previously covered and have always covered in the whole time I've lived here, so 2. And in addition to those 2 things, they're kicking us out. Yeah. Yeah, so for the last few months, we have been trying to secure other housing. We have been applying to places, but it's not gone well. And that's for various reasons. I am self-employed, and apparently you have to make 5 times the normal income to be self-employed and rent. Who knew? I didn't. That's a lot of money. I don't make that much money. Like, I make the normal required amount that I, you know, thought I had to make and that I've always had to make for living places, but apparently being self-employed is different, so there's that. Also, the fact that I have 2 dogs, we were told by 4 different people that there were other people who were applying who did not have pets, so even though those places were okay with having pets, people were preferable who did not have them. We were also told by people who did qualify us that there were people who were willing to pay 6 months to 12 months at once, so they were going to pay their whole lease down at like one time in cash, and they asked us if we were able to do that, and we were not able to do that. So it's been pretty stressful, and ultimately we have kind of run out of options. We don't have a lot of like family or other people really in the area. Like, I moved from another state, my boyfriend moved from the southern part of this state, so we really only know each other up here. So we have decided to live in our car. And I know that sounds pretty bad, and it's not a great situation, but it is what it is, and I'm honestly just going to try to make the best of it. I have a Prius, so it's pretty spacious, and thanks to a lot of my friends, we were able to acquire a lot of the necessities that we're gonna need to be safe and keep things like food and stuff stored in the car safely and, you know, without getting sick. We both do still work, so I have my shop, I do commissions, I also do deliveries for groceries, and my boyfriend has 2 jobs. He is going to be limiting it down to 1 job because the other one he's not going to be able to do with us living in the car anymore, but yeah. We're gonna be doing our best. Honestly, this is like a really terrible situation, but it's going to be the first time in like 3 years that we're gonna have a chance to breathe, because at the start of the pandemic, I had 5 jobs, which I know is a lot. They were part-time jobs, but they were jobs, and I lost 3 of them when the pandemic started and everybody went into quarantine, because they were jobs that were public facing. Like, for one of them, I was an event vendor, so I went to like weddings and big events and stuff as like a vendor, and I couldn't interact with those people anymore because they were no longer doing events. For another one, I worked at a photography studio, and we were no longer having photo shoots because we couldn't have people come in because of the quarantine. And then for the 3rd job, I used to teach classes for art and blanket making, so painting and making blankets, like big crochet blankets. I taught at a place. I had classes a couple times a week where I taught people how to make giant crochet blankets and how to like paint different things. And then we couldn't do classes anymore because of the pandemic. So since the start of it, it's honestly just been us barely getting by. We've been under so much strain, so much stress. It's been one thing after another. I've had dentist issues. I was in the hospital. My stomach was bleeding. We've had issues with my car, my tires specifically a lot. We've had to go to the vet like twice, and then my dog died last year shortly after we got the news about the house. It's just been really tough. It's been really, really hard, and I cannot convey how difficult it is to exist and live when you're under this much stress and strain, like consistently, like with no reprieve. Like, it's so hard. So as shitty as the situation is, at least we're not gonna have like a whole huge rent payment that just keeps going up and up and up, and we're not gonna have a bunch of utilities. It is temporary. We're going to use the time to save up, and I'm still gonna be doing this because I'm gonna be reading a lot. I will say that I will no longer have a big colorful book backdrop, so if that's what you're here for, yeah. So I know this is a little bit depressing probably. I feel like a lot of people probably wouldn't mention it, but all of my videos in the future, after the ones I've already filmed, are going to be from my car or like in various locations. None of them are going to be here in my house again. So I just had to address it in some way.